Twins, Jack and Brody Winjum, were recently diagnosed with an advanced form of Crohn's disease. They join us now with their dad, Court. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Okay. Dad, I know this had to be traumatic when you heard, your twins, were diagnosed with this chronic condition.
Yeah, it was definitely a life-changing event for us.
What were the symptoms that they were experiencing?
A lot of abdominal pain, frequent diarrhea. They were sleeping a little bit more than normal than they had been in the past.
Now, boys, was it very painful? What were you experiencing?
A lot of stomach aches and a lot of diarrhea.
Yeah.
You too?
Yeah, same. And then sometimes blood in the stool.
Wow. Now, you guys were telling me it took you like 2 years to find out that you actually had Crohn's disease.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That what happened?
Well, the symptoms were very infrequent. We didn't see them very often. Diarrhea was something that we felt was somewhat normal considering that they were kids and they would get into junk food at times, and the abdominal pain would come and go, but it was always something that we always were told growing up that those are growing pains. And so I think we were pretty socialized to not see the issues so much. But when we went to our second pediatrician appointment and noticed that they hadn't been gaining weight, it was another sign that we needed to get some things checked out.
Now, I know recently you guys had to do what's called enteral nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain to folks what that is?
It's like a plastic kind of rubbery tube that each night me and my brother would have to stick it. We had put it in our nose, at least like the back of your throat. Like if you at night, like if you open your mouth wide enough, you could see in the back of your throat, and then all the way to your stomach. You'd have to like put the tip to your nose, to your ear, to your belly button, and then you mark it right there. And that's how, when you're putting in, that's where you stop, where you marked it.
So basically, they were on nutrition shakes and being fed through a nasal gastro tube, and they couldn't eat any food. What was that like?
It's kind of hard, especially during like dinner time. We'd usually go in our basement and play kendama is what we usually played.
Or did.
Yeah, and during lunch we usually our advisory teacher's homeroom,
Miss Eshelman.
she let us stay in her room during lunch because it was kind of hard being by everybody while they're eating all their food, and so we just played kendama there too, or went on our phones.
Wow. Brody, what was it like telling your friends that you couldn't eat? What was that like?
A lot of them didn't know what it was. Like a lot of them, like one of my friend, like he didn't really understand it, so he didn't really know what to think of it. Like when the first day when we went to the doctor to put it in, they had to show us how to put it in and stuff, and I didn't want to take it out because it wasn't uncomfortable. I feel like it would hurt even more if I took it out. And so I wore it to school the next day, and I mean, a lot of people didn't understand what it was. Like people would walk up and say, "What is that?" And I'd have to explain to them, which was pretty hard because I'd have to do it to pretty much everyone that would see me. And the first day was the hardest, and then it kept on getting easier and easier.
Yep.
How did it make you feel to know that you have Crohn's disease?
I first didn't really know what it was.
So I didn't know what to think of it.
Yeah, and then right when we found out, we watched a bunch of YouTube videos, and that's what kind of inspired us of making YouTube videos for people like us that just started Crohn's disease and help them through their journey of going through the tube, or if they're doing like steroids and stuff.
Right, so these are YouTube stars, and we're going to show their videos when we're done with this segment, but that's really a good thing that you guys are advocating not only for yourself, but for other people too. What would you want people to know about this disease?
It's an autoimmune disease, and that it's a lifelong disease too. As of right now, it can't be cured, and
but it can be helped.
It's inflammatory from the mouth to the anus, and that you can have flares, which is like when your inflammatory parts in your stomach start to don't know what it's called, but like starts to hurt even more, and you can, yeah.
Wow. Well, Cord, I know this disease affects not only your twins, but the whole family.
Yeah, it's true. We had a lot of adjustments early on with our eating habits. The children really struggled with being around the smells of food and watching their little brother and sister eat, or when we had family meals. It was a pretty strong disconnect for us to be able to, have those family moments that everyone, I think, probably takes for granted. Not everyone, but it certainly is something that you have a stronger appreciation for once you have half your family disconnected from the eating part of the socialness of aspect of being a family.
Now, I know one particular time it got really hard, and you actually put the nasal gastric tube in your nose, too.
Yeah, Brody was having, I think, a more difficult time early on with the idea of having to do that task every night. And it was becoming more and more difficult for him, and one night it was a breaking point that he couldn't do it anymore. It was to me a moment of, if you need me to do this with you, I'll do it. And I don't know how they did it for 60 days, to be honest. It was crazy. I got it down, and it was impossible to feel comfortable. And so for these two guys to do it every night for 2 months, and the lack of sleep that they had to endure, and the beeping of the machine, and just the general discomfort of having something in your throat that you can't get rid of, it makes a parent pretty proud.
Going forward, what are you guys doing now?
We decided to go vegan, and so that's what we're doing now. And we've only had like one stomach ache since we've been off about like 3 weeks now.
Well, good. I'm glad you're feeling better. Last question. What would you tell other parents who are like their kids are newly diagnosed with this disease?
The scariness will pass. I mean, there's a lot of technology, there's a lot of information out there. The doctors are doing their best to practice medicine to find a sweet spot, but everyone's going to be different. So I think it's best that they try to educate themselves early on the medicine options that are available, the multiple versions of what they're called, because there's a generic version, there's a branded version, and those things can be very confusing and intimidating to the process. So I think that the best that they can do is to watch YouTube videos and try to understand what options are available to them, and then to know that they may need to change and practice their own path with the kids till they can find a place where they seem healthy.
And are you hopeful?
I think we're hopeful. I mean, we know that medicine is an option for us right now. We'd like to avoid any impacts on their immune systems with medications, even if that's a positive thing, until we know that it could be a diet issue relative to some of the GMOs and hormones that are going into our food. And when we were growing up, we didn't have these issues, and now 2 of our kids do, and everyone else is changing their diet, and they're gluten intolerant or celiac disease. And so we would like to understand a little bit more about what is impacting our bodies and our ability to grow.
Well, great. Well, you guys, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll be right back, but before we go, we're going to check out one of their YouTube videos.
Hi, I'm Brody Winjum. And I'm Jack Winjum, and just a couple weeks ago we got diagnosed with advanced Crohn's disease. And we are going to be sharing our journey with Crohn's disease and putting Crohn's in remission.
And what are we going to do today?
And we are going to show you how to put the tube in, do the pH strips, and put all the sticker things on. Should I do it?
Talk about what you've got in front of you.
This is the NG tube. The first like 3 or 2 times, it feels like it's not supposed to be there because it's not, and it's not comfortable. But after the first couple of times, you feel like you know how to do it, and it's way easier. Yeah. So first, what you do is you grab the tip and you put it in the tip of your nose. Then you bring it to your earlobe, hold it right there. And then you bring it in right here in the middle of your belly button and right where like your ribs meet. Right. And then in the middle of that, you mark it. So mine is 48. Yeah. I already marked mine before. Okay. then once you have that done, you rub the tip of right here on the lubricating gel. It just helps it like go
Move
down
fast.
so it's not just all dry. Okay. And next, when you put it in, I lean over and open your mouth because it's kind of hard to breathe with your nose when you're putting it in. And sometimes it just hits a wall in the back of your nose. Either just take it out and put it back in, or keep moving it around. It will kind of feel weird, but it will eventually go through. Mm. It just. We'll do around path. Oh, put too much on. It won't go in. Did you get yours? Mm-hmm. And it helps to drink water, so it will help it feed through. And then you put the NG strip on there. Reese, can I please have my water? No. And then you take the NG strip thing on.
Try the other side.
I feel like it would feel different. Put it right on your nose. It's cold. And then take the bottom thing off. And then attach it to the tube. It's okay, Jack. And then you put this thing on. Some people, it depends what you like, but you can use these. Or there are these giant like bandage strips that you can put on it.
You put that on your whole face.
Yeah. And then there are I can't find the other ones. But then there's another clear kind of like wrap that you can put on it. Then you put it on the side of your cheek. Then peel it off, not all the way. And you make sure it's not like pulled tight, so because you don't want the tube to come off. Because if it comes off, you're gonna have to put a new one in. Because if some of it comes out, you can't have it. You can't push it back in. So. And then you tuck your NG strip after you put the stuff on. You grab your syringe. But most likely you'll know if it's in the wrong place, because if it goes into the wrong place, like your lungs, once a little bit of liquid comes out, you'll cough if it goes into your lungs. So, and then take it out. Put the cap back on. Grab your NG strip. And mine was red. And I'll show them.
So what are you checking for?
To see if it's in the right place, and you want it to be
Well,
these
for us.
1, 3, 5, 2, 4, and 6. Those are the main colors that you want it to be in.
strip, where'd it go? Sorry. No, man. Oh, it's turning orange. That's good.
So it looks like you guys got some color there that works.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So now what do we do?
You go and hook the. Oh yeah. Set the machine up. So I'll grab my bag. Can you grab mine? Can you help me?
It's always important to clean up after yourselves, isn't it?
Then, for us, they had to give us a certain amount of bottles. This is 3 bottles. I don't think we did yours yet, Jack.
Yeah, we did.
No, I don't think we primed this. I don't think we primed both.
Well, show us how to hook up the bag.
Here's the machine. Turn it on. Hold it down until it makes the loud buzzing sound.
What's in there?
Pediatric peptide. Pediatric peptide.
It's like different than you'd get at the store. It's like more like amped up in calories, and there's more medicine in it.
And so what's that going to do for you?
It's gonna help us gain weight and get in remission.
In remission and gain weight and get taller.
So you put this around like the neck thing, strap it, and then there's this hook that you can put around it so it doesn't fall off. Should I start my feeding?
Sure.
Actually, I'm not gonna start right now because I want to go do some stuff downstairs.
Just go ahead and show it. Just hook it up.
To me, I don't want to start my feeding right now. Then you
We're filming. Yeah, you do.
put it right here, pull back, and you close it. Make sure not to slam it, or else this, they call it a door, it'll shut off. Screw on both of them. Make sure the one that you're not using is screwed on tight so it doesn't come out. And screw this.
Well, Jack, what are you doing over there?
Prepping my bag
What are you prepping it for? What are you doing?
because you don't want any air in the bag.
So you can air bubbles out? Okay.
I also give you like a stomach ache.
Bloated, make you bloated. Okay, so when we have the machine in, everything inside of it, and it's in here, you push rate and dose. Your dietitian and doctor will give you a rate and dose. My rate is 100 and my dose is 711. Then you'd go to volume. Every time you start a new one, you go to volume, you clear, total, clear. So let's say you have to pause in between of feeding. You know how much there is if you have to put more in. Once you did that, you strap it in. Actually, I'll strap it in. Then, once everything's done, wait, I need to. There's gonna be like a tiny opening right here that you put it through, so you don't, so it doesn't go through the bag. Once you have everything set and the thing's tied and twisted in, you can push run. Can you put up here? You have to click it once, and once if you has the running button, it means it's running. Sometimes it will say stuff, but when the person comes over and talks to you, you'll understand it more. You zip it. You need to make sure it's sitting upwards so the bag can sit down, because if it wasn't, once you get to like the end of the run, there's going to be stuff on top of it, and it won't go down into the bottom where the stuff comes in.
So could you take that with you to school? And
You could take it with me to school, but I decided I don't want to have to wear it all day, so I just drink the bottles. Once you'll get hungry, and you don't like them at first, but once you're hungry, you'll want to eat them, and they start tasting good.
Thank you for watching our video.